Christina has entered the pool of waifus and she's absolutely adorable. Or maybe it's just me having a thing with waifus in uniforms. But you're not here for that, so... let's talk about Christina.
Reporting victory, sir!
Christina is our very first 3-star fire defender who grants powerful buffs to her allies and inflicts debuff on the enemy when the enemy uses non-attack skills. Look at the subclass, she is a phalanx, telling me she's going to have extremely high base HP, and the kit revolves around keeping her team alive. So let's take a look at her skills and how we can gear her. Christina's S1 either strips one buff from the target or pushes up priority if the enemy has no buffs to be stripped. As a basic attack, 60% of the time you will be stripping a buff off an enemy, which can come in pretty clutch. I don't think it's a horrible S1, considering you could run Coward's Treasure and counter attack set on her, which means that you will have a chance to either strip a buff or your priority pushing yourself. 20% is not a small amount, by the way. Natural turn order plus 20% priority pushing means that she turn cycles pretty quickly, making up for a low base speed as a defender. Now her S2 is the bread and butter. Whenever an enemy uses a non-attack skill, she gets a priority push and grants attack and defense up for 2 turns to the team. This skill is particularly strong because of the implication it brings. Granting attack and defense up off turn means that you're not wasting Christina's turn buffing the team. It also means that you don't have to speed tune your units around Christina. Also, counter attacks and revenges will be able to take advantage of the attack and defense buff. For example, these Stella's revenge can likely one-shot a lot of squishies. Veronica counter-attacking through Coward's Treasure now becomes a dual attack because the defense up she gets even before she takes a turn. Edith's counter-attacks through Antipathy hits harder because she scales off defense. You get the idea. And while we are on the topic of her passive, her EE turns this skill into a pseudo strip. I don't know about you, but it's an easier time for me to fight an enemy with a 1 turn less buff duration. Her S3 is a simple AoE attack that inflicts unbuffable to all enemies. As simple as that sounds, let me enlighten you why you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. First off, if you're one of those people who are coping saying, Valentine's gonna buff units anyway so this skill is useless and she sucks, or you know, Alice is better in that case, well, let me just call you out right now and call you stupid. Of course Valentine is going to buff the team. 154 base speed versus 103 base speed, you're never going to take the initiative. In fact, you were never supposed to disable Valentine, but you're supposed to interact with her. If you pick Christina, you're already planning to play the bruiser game with your opponent, and that means you're playing the war of attrition. Putting up unbuffable basically means that Tamara must consider if pressing her S3 as her first move is worth it, and Valentine has to think twice about pressing that S3, or she and the team is gonna end up eating an attack buff D-Stella's revenge. If your Christina is on Blue Gem's White Ring, that means you have the opportunity to put up unbuffable since you are able to cut priority, denying your opponent's D-Stella from ever granting herself a shield through her burst. You deny Leah from ever putting up evasion and shield. You deny Nortia from granting herself any more fierce offensive after her turn. And if we want to dig deeper, weapons like Force Field Generator, Iron Messiah, and Emblem of Dominance also stop working as intended, winning you the attrition battle.
Lieutenant Christina, at your command!
Now that we understand how her skills work, let's talk about what gear sets and talisman works well for her. For starters, speed set can never go wrong on her. Ideally, you're looking for all the stats that provides her with a lot of bulk, and I recommend putting on a legendary helmet and boots simply for the HP percentage main stat. My ideal set for her would be immunity counter with tank and speed subs on it. This combination of set means that you are safe to go into Tamara teams and you have a chance to strip buffs or priority push yourself, helping you steal the turn and prevent the enemy's team from ever gaining the crit and crit damage buff from Tamara's S2 when their Tamara rotates around. For weapons, I believe Token of the Supreme Witch is a good candidate on her since it helps being less reliant on cleanses to remove debuff of Chris. For her necklace, she can either go with Coward's Treasure to abuse the S1 priority push or strip, or you could use Blue Gem's White Ring to turn cycle quickly. Personally, I like to run my Christina on Blue Gems with the immunity and counter gear. Reason being that her S3 burst reduces her cooldown on her skills by 2 turns, meaning putting her on Vanguard's Charm will give you the skill rotation of S3, burst 3 S1, and then S3 again. This can be extremely backbreaking to a lot of compositions since at the time of recording so many players rely on the crit chance buff to actually do respectable damage. I do however feel she needs very specific gearing in order to see her true potential, and her biggest obstacle to overcome when gearing is to be able to be tanky enough to tank a damaged S-state S3.
Ew.
That being said, what good is Christina if she isn't paired well and synergizes with the team? Personally, her best pairs in this current meta at the time of recording this video would be D-Stella, Veronica, Mayne. It's a no-brainer that D-Stella will pair well with Christina since attack and defense buffs significantly boost her survivability and damage output. Veronica can take advantage of the defense buff given by Christina and start dual attacking even before she takes her turn since majority of Veronicas are built on Coward's Treasure. And Mayne? Well, I'm sure you guys hate dealing with Mayne to begin with, and with the defense buff on Mayne, it literally turns her into a cockroach, surviving even the DS stage S3.
Bruh.
I'm sure there will be more units in the future that will be released that can pair well with her. Her passive being an interactable effect future-proofs her.
Possibly.
But of course, getting the right gear for her to function optimally requires time and proper resource management. If you're new, you should definitely check out this video where I share the 5 tips I wish I knew before starting Outerplane. Who knows, maybe you'll be able to benefit off it, or it might just be the refresher course you needed.